Hi, I'm Ben Feferman, and welcome to a public service announcement episode. Normally, we break down all the news, stories, and scandals in the esports industry, and yes, that is still going to happen today, but perhaps through a different lens. Get the pun I just made there? Okay, when celebrities, when esports athletes and pros make disparaging remarks against a particular group, I don't really have anything to say about it in the sense that it's not something that has hurt me before. If there's been a racial slur or a homophobic slur and anti-women statements and things that have happened to other groups, and these things haven't really impacted me until now. So what happened recently was Meyers Leonard, a NBA basketball player for the Miami Heat. He's also an investor in FaZe, part of the organization, on stream, made an anti-Semitic comment. That was pretty bad. And the reaction from it is really where I think I kind of disagree on where a lot of people are taking this, and I want to explain why. So after the comment, he was indefinitely suspended from the Miami Heat. He was essentially suspended or removed from everything related to FaZe, and essentially cut off. And I know that kind of is the normal way to approach these situations when someone makes a racial comment. You disassociate themselves from everything that they do. But let's think about this for a second. Someone like Meyers Leonard spent his entire life building up to the point to be a professional basketball player, to be able to be associated with top brands. And at the end of the day, he screwed up. He made a stupid comment. And if our response to racism or anti-Semitism is going to be that, what does that teach us? Like, what kind of lesson does that even leave with someone like Meyers Leonard, where he worked his entire life for this, to get there, to get to the highest level of basketball, to be a brand ambassador for the top team, and one comment against one group is going to ruin his entire career, his entire life? Is that how we are really going to be promoting, diversity and inclusion and acceptance? No. That's the worst way to do it, is if our response is going to be he's suspended and fired and kicked out, then honestly, he's for sure going to hate Jews for the rest of his life and his career. And honestly, I wouldn't blame him, because that one comment against that one group really ruined his life. What is the real response? And Julian Edelman from the New England Patriots took that first step, as saying, let's reach out to him. The response should not be he should lose his job and he should be fired and he should be removed. The response should be learn about Judaism, learn what happened with the Holocaust, go to Auschwitz and Birkenau and see how the Jews were exterminated en masse because of anti-Semitism and how they rebuilt the country, how they rebuilt their nation. Go to Israel and see what out of the ashes of the Holocaust became one of the most amazing new cultures and societies and people that have thrived out of that. That's how you teach the lessons of, moving against anti-Semitism and understanding, not by just throwing him out and saying we are totally disassociating ourselves with everything related to that person. So even though the popular thing is to do that, I think if the person really is sorry, and from what I'm seeing the goal should be to work with the Jewish community, to learn, to educate, and that's the best way to combat anti-Semitism. And I think it's the same thing with other things, whether it's ignorance to things that are racial or things that are related to gender or any other types of people. If our response is just goodbye, you're fired, you're finished, what does that do? How does that really solve the problem that we're trying to achieve by just throwing people out and not using this as a teachable moment? So this PSA is brought to you by Ben Feferman. As a Jewish person myself, yes, of course, I find these comments to be hurtful. I find them to be in poor taste. And it's a really terrible word to be used, especially in today. But the way we got to do is reach out and educate. So Meyers Leonard, if you're watching this, if there's any chance you're watching this, I would personally love to talk to you about Judaism. I would love to talk to you about Israel, to learn more about it, because I know the comments that you made were not in that spirit, and that you know better and that you want to be better. This has been a special public service announcement for myself, Ben Feferman, and Esports Unfiltered. Think about that a little bit more. When we see and hear racial, anti-Semitic remarks, what is our response? Is it just kicking people to the curb? Or is there a way to take these opportunities as teaching and education moments? That's all for this week. I'm Ben Feferman, and good night, Tel Aviv.